Okay, only a couple more chapters left to go. So let's see what changes as we get close to that sweet ending. I had to fight the urge to retreat back to the comfort of the habitat. I'd always dreamed of being in a place like this, but experiencing it for the first time was different than I imagined. Interesting. When it was her other personality, she was like, "It's just so beautiful here. I've always wanted to come here." When we'd arrived earlier, I hadn't fully appreciated it. But I swallowed the intimidation, the urge to find Magnus winning out over the desire to hide. It wasn't like there was anything to be afraid of. It was just the ground, the sky, wind. Yeah, she's much more afraid this time. But beneath that endless sky, I felt naked and exposed. It was a strange feeling. But soon I was distracted again, looking for Magnus. Because he was nowhere to be found. Not in the greenhouse for sure. It was sealed, but I could peer inside. Are we... Okay, now we're back to that. At the least, I didn't want to think he was capable of bringing me out here with the intention to just leave me behind. And I couldn't fathom a logical reason for it either. Magnus had a way of not telling me parts of his plans, which meant this specific location could hold another purpose than a convenient hiding spot. For instance, if there was another place nearby he was aiming for but he wanted to go alone. In that case, my presence could simply be that he needed a way out of Cor Solaris and Brasil. If that was the case, had everything about a friend out here been a lie as well? She's so much more sus this time. But if so, whose place was this? It was clearly maintained by someone, indicating that someone did live here. And Magnus knew of this place's existence in the first place, so the owner had a connection to him. Ugh, there was no way to work it all out with the limited information I had. That's why he should have left a message. But then again, even I'd wondered if it was safe. Maybe the fact he didn't leave me one meant it wasn't. Or he could have just forgotten. That would definitely be in character. So, let's skip. And then, I have a note here that says I should make a save, because we're going to come back to this choice at some point for a bad ending. But for now, we're gonna do what we did. Hold on. Need to make sure. I think my thing scrolled down a little bit. Yeah, okay, because I'm like, I don't think that's the right choice that I'm looking at. I have to do the same choice that I did in the best ending. So, we'll do that, and we'll see... What are you doing? Could teleport myself, okay. Should I, though? Magnus clearly had a purpose in going there. He knew so much more about all this than I did. And after giving it some thought, I could somewhat understand his reluctance to speak about it if it meant essentially putting it out there for any capable Esper to stumble on. Then again... This was more of him doing things on his own again. More of him planning things and carrying out those plans without thinking about how it would affect others. We just had this talk. I needed to get to him and find out what he was doing this time. So, now that I know where I'm going, how does our meeting with Lance go with this personality? Magnus, I think it's well within the realm of normal human expectation to think you'd still be there when I woke up. Or that you'd at least leave a message as to where you'd gone. We're not exactly in a populated settlement. It's not as if I was going to assume you'd gone shopping. I suppose that's true.
I think even I grasp at least that much, Magnus.
But you have a nice house. I thought you'd be fine.
Wait, house? So this was Deimos? But that didn't make sense. Who is this man? Who are you? Given where we were right now, there was only one thing Magnus could be planning. Yep, she's gonna suss it all out this time. You intend to take over the mainframe, don't you?
Of course you were able to figure it out on your own.
It was difficult to wrap my head around why he thought that would help. Unless... Endgame's core function was to protect the AI to keep control of the mainframe from belonging to any one faction. Without the AI to protect it, the mainframe was vulnerable. But as long as King was there, no one would be able to wrest control of the mainframe from him without the help of a King rank. In other words, you needed to control the AI to control the mainframe. And if Magnus was trying to diminish Endgame's power or destroy their core purpose, that meant both the AI and the mainframe would have to go. But to shut down the mainframe would result in so many issues. Magnus had to realize that. Unless... Are you intending to shut down the mainframe and decentralize all systems to the individual domes?
It always astonishes me how brilliant you are.
I don't know about brilliant. Just taking everything over to exert pressure over Endgame and hobble them can't be your plan. You would never think that short term. To stop Endgame, you have to take out the AI, but once the AI is gone, the mainframe has to be shut down to avoid war. Once the mainframe is gone, decentralization would be necessary as a next step.
It will take some time to decentralize control, but yes, that's exactly what I intend to do. I hoped we could simply walk away from that world. But it was naive to think they'd let us go. Given our abilities, they will always see us as a threat to this place. Which makes us a loose end they can't ignore.
Music change? Music change. Okay, so the guard came. And then what happened? Okay, so she severed their link. Now they're back in reality. There was a split second of silence. No movement, no reaction. Then relief crashed in. And anger. I steeled my jaw, doing everything in my power to keep from screaming at him. Magnus, you're being ridiculous right now. Are you really going to do something that drastic and call it a solution?
It's the only way.
How do you know? Did you even consider other options? Did you ask anyone else if they had solutions? You did not.
I've spent years.
You have one perspective, Magnus, and it's influenced by your own experiences and biases. It's time to start trusting others again before you do something truly horrible. Don't you understand that? He shut his eyes, letting out a soft sigh.
Then what other solution do you have?
Guys, I'm sorry to interrupt, but there's sort of a bishop outside flinging cybers at my shield, and it's not going to hold much longer. Morgan, while
You! I got to my feet, whirling around to pin him in place with a glare. All I can say is that someone as old as you should know better. Is this all... Okay, I'm like, when is it... This all seems familiar, but okay. Alright, so we talked him out of it. New plan. I paused, taking his hand and giving it a squeeze. It will work. We will make it work. Just trust me. Just this once. There was hesitation on his face, but he squeezed my hand back.
I will try. They could try to take Lance into custody.
I'm not afraid to fight back anymore either. Really fight back, not just run away. Now, come on. I have a lot of people outside to go threaten. Okay. So, now we're back. Interesting, so... Okay, so like that all played out, the smoochy smooch. But instead of her just being like, so I went to see Lethe, and she's like, gave me a sigh of relief, we're actually visiting her this time. Interesting, interesting.
You didn't have to come down to check on her again.
I know. I guess after hearing what was going on all this time, I wanted to talk to her a little.
I was shocked to find out she was working with Magnus on some things. But at the same time, it explains a lot. I never knew she was holding in so much anger over what happened.
It seems like it was a defense mechanism for them both. To keep the council at bay, they put up this front of being loyal.
Or just being an idiot in Magnus's case.
I hope she's able to find some peace now that things are changing.
I hope so too. But sometimes finding peace isn't quite that easy. But she woke up earlier for a while. She said she knew you'd find a way. So maybe this was all what she planned. I'm going to be heading home now. The new ranking council member has called an early meeting tomorrow.
I think he forgets the rest of us still need normal levels of sleep.
We'll have to remind him tomorrow then.
Okay, so didn't talk to Lethe directly, but heard it from Vaughn. I fell on my sofa face first as soon as I was back to my apartment. Is this all... Okay, this is all new. The last couple of days had been a whirlwind. First was getting back to Cor Solaris with everyone, and then had been the quiet storming of the council room. By which I mean we just teleported in and introduced Lance, much to everyone's shock. And he announced he was taking over. Just like that. There was pushback, but, well, what was a group of normal people going to do against 9 elite Espers who'd finally had enough? Okay, just wanted to double check. Nothing, really. Especially after Lance politely threatened to air every piece of dirty laundry from the last couple of centuries, including some very private ones from the current council members. He could be quite ruthless when he wanted to be. When I told him that, he informed me he used to be in the Mafia after all. Thanks, Lance. Since that moment, we'd been working to figure out how to put King to rest. Permanently. Along with the mainframe. Hence my working on a lengthy proposal for how to handle that at the public level. Obviously, King would continue to exist. It was just that no one would know it. And even Lance pointed out that with the mainframe gone, his control of the nanosystem would diminish. One reason it was easy for him to manipulate it was because of being able to spread his presence everywhere through the mainframe's access to all planet systems. With that gone, he'd have to rely on his personal range, which was somewhat smaller. There was the problem that his consciousness was still partially linked to the mainframe, and severing it would be dangerous for him, but he and Magnus were working on a solution to that as well. There would be a lot of work going forward. Years of work. But no one was going to shy away from that. It was work we all wanted to do. When the door chime went off, I was half dozing already. I'd gotten the habit of checking who it was with my sphere, just in case. So I wasn't surprised to find it was Magnus. It was already late, but the past couple of days, he'd been stopping in anyway to spend some time with me before bed. He still had a lot of things to sort through before I would feel comfortable with us getting serious, but neither of us was interested in denying our growing closeness. Okay. I think that's reasonable, especially considering how things played out this time. Whatever he had to work through, I intended to help with it. And our relationship would just develop naturally without either of us trying to force it.
You weren't asleep, were you?
Do I look like I was?
A little. Your hair is all messy.
He smoothed it down for me as I let him in. Thank you.
I can always leave and let you sleep.
It's fine. Come in.
How was Veronica?
Improving still. Vaughn is still pushing to remove her from the Moirai. Nice. I approve of this.
We have some time yet before we have to make that decision. I think I may allow her to choose. Too many of us have been unable to choose for far too long.
I agree.
So I stopped by to see Lance before I came over. He had an interesting proposition.
I'm almost afraid to ask.
We were discussing your concerns with the reception to dismantling the mainframe and rolling out things on the night side first. He believes we should announce that he's here.
Oh. Really? That could be interesting. I'm assuming he's not referring to announcing that he's the AI in human form and all.
No. But remember, he's a fianchetto. His family holds a lot of sway in Delphine. With their help, things might go more smoothly.
His family also heads a notorious crime syndicate.
True, but we use what resources are available to us, don't we?
This is the part I will never get used to.
You can always go back home. It might be a good way to begin introducing new policies for Espers like yourself.
No, it's too much at once. And without a security detail, it would just be asking for trouble, right? I think I need to stay here for now. I think it'll be good to stay and make sure the reforms happen as planned. And that a certain someone doesn't go getting weird ideas at the first sign of trouble.
I'm not...
And besides, I kinda like you, so it would be a shame to leave. Aww. How sweet. He let out a soft chuckle, pulling me closer against him.
I'm glad. I know I put you through rather a lot.
You did, but I want to stay anyway. Even if I left Endgame, I don't think I'd go anywhere, if you know what I mean.
I'm not sure. That sounds a bit confusing.
I flicked his forehead before catching a lock of hair in my hand. You know exactly what I mean.
I suppose I do.
His arms tightened around me.
Thank you for staying. Thank you for everything.
Thank you for bringing me here.
Even though I put you through so much pain.
Even then. Sometimes the path we're meant to be on is like that. He shut his eyes and rested his forehead against mine, and we spent the evening together curled up on my sofa. There was a long road ahead, but I was glad to be on it with him. Aw, that was super duper sweet. I like that, actually. I like that quite a lot. Just because they didn't get as close this time, so there was like not as much trust, but even with more suspicion and a lot more questions and uncertainties between the two of them, they still, deep down, when it really counted, took a leap of faith in each other, and it worked out. And I think because it worked out, with both of them taking that leap of faith, it'll strengthen the relationship going further. So it just kind of delayed the closeness a little bit. And as she said, that they're like, we're not denying that we're growing closer, but we're not going to like push things too far. It'll just naturally develop and things like that. So I thought that was good. I also like the little added detail in the sweet ending of, we're gonna give Lethe a choice whether she wants to still be with the Moirai or not. And yeah, I don't know. It was a sweet ending is what it was. I really liked it. I really, really did. Yeah, anyway, I guess that's it for now. My brain's like... I was really impressed with how much changed, just with like Morgan's thought processes and reaction to things. It amazes me every time that I go through a different ending and pick a different personality for her and different choices. It's like, wow, it's quite different in some cases. I think Magnus might have had the most changes out of the guys so far. I think there's at least 2 chapters with significant changes in dialogue, scenes being different, conversations that didn't happen and other conversations that did happen that kind of changed the whole vibe of everything. It was really interesting, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So I hope you guys enjoyed Magnus's sweet ending as well. As mentioned earlier, he's got 3 bad endings, so buckle up, I guess. We'll find out what those are next time. Until then, I will see you later.